Brian, just wanted to talk a little bit about that last game. What did you see on tape, especially with the second goal? You said you were disappointed about that. Like, what did you see on tape versus what, your initial reaction?
Well, the second goal off the set piece, I think we could have done a better job there. They're very good at setting picks on set pieces, and Osaze got picked at top of the box. His guy runs clean. They had a guy picking our guy at the near post space. So they did a good job on their execution of that particular play, but I think we've really spent a lot of time this year focused on defending set pieces because that was our Achilles heel last year, and we were pretty good up until that moment. I think that was a play that we could have maybe done a better job. Now, on the flip side of that, overall with the game, Jada, I mean, look, we scored that first 3-against-1 breakaway. The game's completely different. That is a challenging place to play, a very historic stadium. The fans were into it. It's a very, very good Tigres team. So we're just looking forward to being back home. We've been gone for a long time, and hopefully our fans can give these guys some energy, and looking forward to another tough game.
And then, Paul, it's hard to score in every single game. You've almost done that, but what do you feel that you're going to need to do differently, or what it's going to take to get past Tigres tomorrow?
Yeah, I think like Schmetzer said, we had some good chances in the last game. I had 2 good chances that I could have put away and didn't. And you think about those after, and I think for us it's been a really good week of training. I think today the energy from the group was really good. I think this loss has also given us a little bit more to reflect on, and so I think this week of training's made us better. We've been, we have to really approach this game with a lot of intensity and a lot of aggressiveness, and I think the group's excited about that. And I think we take inspiration too from some of the Champions League matches today. I don't know if you guys see, but Barca's already tied the match up, and we're going to be looking to do something similar tomorrow.
Paul, being back at home, and not only being back at home at Lumen, but playing on grass at Lumen, just what's your anticipation level for tomorrow in that setting?
Yeah, I'm very excited about it. Lumen's a special place. There's been a lot of magical games played in this stadium, and I think especially on grass, that's we're all looking forward to that. We'd love it to be grass all the time, but we definitely have a couple of games this summer on grass, and so this is our first one there. But no, we'll definitely take inspiration from the fans tomorrow. I think this team has always been a better team at home, and that's what has made this a successful team in the past couple of years, and this year too. So we're excited about that.
Tigres, the game last Wednesday, the physicality that they showed in that game, does it kind of give you the insight of, okay, we need to play at this level of maybe physicality against a team like that in the home leg? Do you try to beat them more on the athleticism end, just not to give the full game plan, but just what insights did you gather from that game last Wednesday?
Yeah, I think reflecting on the game, it took us a little bit too long to match them in that battle. I think, speaking personally, I noticed that we stepped it up, especially in the second half when there was that foul on Christian, but that was far too late in the game to do that. And so I do think we're going to approach this game a little bit differently from that standpoint. But, I think all facets are going to be a little bit different, how we approach it tactically and whatnot. Obviously, I'm not going to give anything away there. But, I think the Seattle fans will give us a different type of energy going into this match, and we're definitely going to play on that.
All right, we'll go back to Jada before taking a few on Zoom.
Thanks. Brian, you have highlighted a little bit of Jackson and his play, but Nuhu has also had some good moments here too, especially in that game. Can you talk a little bit about what's been working well for him this season?
Well, he's maturing. I think his role on the Cameroonian team, being the captain, just his age, his length of tenure with the club. He's approaching 10 years with the club. I think there's a lot of things. He's maturing in front of our eyes, and he's turning out to be a really fine young man and a good leader. Playing against one of their best players, Linus, that's a matchup that he relishes sometimes. You saw him against Mo Salah a couple years back with Cameroon and versus Egypt and stuff like that. He gets up for big games. He will need to have a big game tomorrow, but he's always good in these moments, and we expect a typical Nuhu performance.
And then your favorite question from me, any injuries, anything new as far as that, whether available or not available?
No, just some of the guys coming back. It's the same program. No new additions to the roster as far as healthy guys are concerned, but Stewie was in training full today. Ryan Saylor was in training. Kim Ki-hee actually was on the grass. So we're getting closer.
All right, we'll go over to the Zoom portion, beginning with Maz Vida Morer. Maz, go ahead, please, with your question.
Well, if I'm understanding your question, Maz, they were pretty direct in the way they played. They almost had a line of 4 or 5 guys, and their goalkeeper would launch the ball, or defender would launch the ball. And it's an aggressive tactic. They were at home. They wanted to bring the game to us. Let's see how they play tomorrow away from home with a 2-0 lead. Are they going to be that aggressive? It worked for them once. They have to realize that we're going to make some changes, obviously, in our tactics if they try and do that again. I think we're prepared for that. But overall, again, that's a quality team, well-coached team. Guido's doing a very good job. Their last result against Chivas 4-1 on the weekend. It's a good squad. So we're going to have all hands on deck. We need to play smart. We need to play well, but not reckless.
All right.
Just Paul, in terms of the attack, you all are doing a good job of attacking on the flanks there. What's needed in terms of attacking inside a little bit more towards that goal?
Yeah, I think we've worked a lot on some of that this week. Especially a specific shout out to Preki. He's been helping us focus on some of those interchanges in through the middle and how we can break them down a little bit inside. And I think that's gonna be really important tomorrow. And I'm not gonna give too much away, Maz, but we have a good feeling about this game.
Next question, go to Nico Moreno. Nico, you should be able to ask your question. Go ahead, please.
Thank you. Brian, I just wanted to ask you, Jesus for last season was the field player with most minutes. This season, the minutes have been limited, doesn't start the first game against Tigres. What has changed that has maybe made his time on the field decline this season?
Nothing. I think he's at the end of the year, he's gonna have a lot of minutes. The change that I made down in Mexico was a tactical change. And, did it work? Well, you could say no, because we lost 2-0. But there were certain moments that Paul Arriola did the job I expected him to do. And, it was just my choice, my decision. He's obviously a super talented player, and he's got good numbers on the assists. We'd still like him to be a little bit more goal dangerous, which I'm sure will be coming. He's been very good at training this week, so I'm hoping that he's going to have a big match.
Okay. Wait, Nico, just 1 second. I'll come back to you. I got to keep moving here for first-time askers, but I'll come back if I can. Let's go next question to Felipe Makeda, please.
Thank you. Coach Brian, the first game at Tigres, the beginning of the game was a very good game, but then the second half, the game turned a little bit rough, was very physical, fouls. My question is for both player, what would you do different to keep you focused in the game when if it becomes aggressive or rough? And Coach Brian, same for you. What would you talk to your players about keeping, focus in the game if in case things go aggressive or
I will answer that by saying this. The players are a tight knit group. When it gets challenging, they always stick up for each other. They all have each other's backs. I know that for a fact. And then as far as, refereeing and the game in control, I thought the referee down there did a good job. Look, it's a heated game. There's going to be emotions, but I always tell the players, control the controllables. We cannot control what the referee calls or does not call. We have to play the way he is feeling that particular game. If the referee tomorrow is allowing a little bit more physical play, then these guys will understand that they can play a little bit more physical, and they have to make those adjustments based on how they see the game unfolding with the refereeing. But we never, ever, ever try and say that the referees lose us games. We never, ever say that we will ever stop fighting and protecting each other. So I hope that answers your question.
All right, next question we'll go to George. Did you have a follow-up there?
No, I think Brian answered it, and there were some moments of real physical intensity and some maybe some cheap challenges that we experienced, and we remember those, and we will take that into the next game, and we're prepared for a physical battle. I think we know this team well now. That's the advantage of playing 2 games, and I think we'll approach it a little bit differently than last game.
thank you.
Yeah. Next question we'll go to George Santos. George, you should be able to ask your question. Go ahead, please.
So this question is for Paul. Just wondering if you've already been down at Lumen with the new grass field, or if it's going to be tonight, seeing the U.S. Women's National Team that we're going to see for the first time. And then for Coach, you referred to this series of games as the Road Show. Do you have a nickname for this series of home games?
Yeah, I'll answer the first part. We have not seen the field yet. We've seen it on the live cam of Lumen, so we have an understanding of kind of what it looks like, but we will be seeing it for the first time tonight, watching the women play, and then obviously experience it for the first time during the warm-up tomorrow.
George, what was your question? I missed your last question.
You referred to this series of home games as the Road Show.
Mhm.
Do you have a nickname for
No.
this series of home games?
No. We're happy to be home.
Home sweet home.
Okay, next question we'll go to Kasim. Go ahead, please, when you're ready.
Hey, Coach. So obviously, it feels like a million years ago, but one of the most iconic comebacks in this franchise's history was against Tigres at home. Has that game kind of factored into your messaging this week in terms of making a comeback of this size?
We brought it up earlier. Look, in 2013, we went down to Tigres and we lost 1-0. But when the return leg came back to Lumen Field, they actually scored first. So we were down 2-0, and then heroics from DeAndre Yedlin, the local kid, and Jimmy Traore with his wonder goal. And that was certainly a good memory. And 2021 was a good memory when they came here. And we were able to win 3-0. But that's the past. We understand that is just the past. We understand that the moment is now. That's a very different Tigres team than what we played in 2013 and what we played in 2021. We understand the challenge. We know the scoreline. We understand the objective.
Okay, Nico Moreno, thanks for your patience. Why don't you go ahead and ask your follow-up? You'll do the last one here on Zoom, and then we have a final one in the room. Go ahead, Nico.
Thank you. I'll just switch it up. Brian, I know that you're probably not the person that necessarily would need to answer this, but there was this report from Andres Lilini, who's the youth developer for the Mexican Federation, basically indicating that the Sounders were denying or not telling Obed about call-ups to the Mexican team, and you have to like fly to Alaska to talk to them. Is there anything that you have to say about that sort of situation, or have you heard that report at all?
Well, it's kind of funny. I mean, we're playing Tigres versus the Seattle Sounders, two really big clubs, so the conversation actually should be about us. But let me finish. Don't interrupt me. But I will answer it maybe in this way as I'm thinking about it, because it's kind of a weird question. I can tell you that this club, at one year we had 11 internationals missing during an international break. I remember Clint Dempsey being a big part of the U.S. national team, and letting him do what he did best for the U.S. team. Jordan, Christian, Raul. I remember letting Raul go early to do certain things internationally. There's not one time that I remember that we ever would say no to an international call-up, so I don't know what you're talking about. The only thing there, maybe, the only thing that I can ever remember was Jordan Morris got invited to the Olympics, and Josh went, but Jordan didn't. That's the only thing I can ever remember in our entire existence since 2009, where we said no to a player playing internationally for their country. We actually encourage players to go play for their countries. We think that's a sign of talented international players wanting to come to Seattle, because we respect the national team programs of their individual countries. So I have no idea what you're talking about.
All right, with that, we'll close with one more in the room. Yep, welcome. Go ahead, please.
Thank you. How are you? I'm Eric Gonzalez of Multimedios Monterrey. Paul, how are you? ¿Qué tal, coach? The question for the coach, Seattle has a winning record at home in CONCACAF tournaments. 2013, the last lose, yes, the last lose, but how can they capitalize on this match in Tigres tomorrow?
We have to play, again, like I said before, we have to play smart. We have to play with what Paul said, intensity, the right amount of physicality without going overboard. They are a good team. I like their players. I like Lainez. I like Aguirre, Guzman. They've got good players. But we also have a very talented team. So we're going to go and play with confidence, play with belief. We will be at home. I like the La Lluvia, the rain a little bit. It'll make the field good for us. And we're going to go try and, as soon as the referee blows the whistle, come and dictate tempo in the game.